Welcome back to the Hawkeye Garage. I'm Joe. This week we are working on the 4Runner again, and what we are going to be doing is installing a winch, a hidden winch behind the bumper, and a DIY winch mount at that. Stay tuned. Before I dive into this, I figure I wanted to address a couple things. First off, can we please just acknowledge that 50% of you watching this are going to say that this isn't strong enough, it's not going to work, I did a garbage job fabricating all of this. 50% of you are going to say that it's awesome, it's perfect, they love how I did it, and 50% of you are going to say that I overbuilt it and I didn't need to make it as complicated as I did. So yes, in case you didn't know, that is how YouTube math works. On a serious note though, because there is a fair amount of fabricating going on here and it's for recovery, I assume that if you're watching this video and considering doing this, you're pretty confident in doing stuff like that, but be aware that there's lots of pressure going on here with winching stuff, and you should just be aware of what you're building and what could possibly go wrong. So proceed at your own risk, but good luck. Before we take a look at the mount that I've built and kind of how it's going to go together, I wanted to point out a couple things on the front here. This install with the Harbor Freight winch plate, yes, you guessed it, on the 4th gen, as far as modifications go on the vehicle, it's like 99% modification free. It's awesome. So couple minor things that we had to modify. There used to be a little bracket that came off of right here. This is a bracket holding the AC condenser on, and it used to have another little bracket that held this AC line. This AC line is made out of aluminum. It is very flexible, so you can gently bend it and move it out of the way, but because it is so soft and flexible, you can kink it and break it very easily, so you need to be careful. So I removed that bracket, and then all I did was, after I relocated the line a little bit, I used one of these wire clip retainer things. It's rubber coated, so it's not going to wear. There was already a hole here, so I used a sheet metal screw, held it into place, and also across the front I did put this is some reinforced fuel line. I wrapped it around there, a couple zip ties to hold it in place as well. This is what I've come up with. So this main tray here is the Harbor Freight universal winch mount. I've modified this not at all. I haven't done anything to the plate. All these holes come with it. It's still the same size. I haven't cut it down. And as you can see on the back, this is what I have added. So we've got 1/4-inch plates on both sides that will match up to where the crash bar bolts to the front of the frame, and the crash bar is going to go back in place there in front of this. This right here is just some U-channel. See right here, that's all that is, steel U-channel. I actually use this on some of the cross members for my skid plates. And then I've got some more 1/4-inch plate as gussets here and there. These are actually just some angle for the controller. I'll show you that in a minute. And then if we look underneath here in the dark, there's just another 1/4-inch plate. That's another gusset. So the winch, Smittybilt 9500. This came with the steel cable and the big roller fair lead. I went ahead and picked up a $20 aluminum fair lead off of Amazon, and I also got somewhere around here Dyneema rope, which is what all the high-end ropes are made of. It's 3/8 by 85 foot. It's got a rash guard there on it, so we'll get that wound up in there, trying to save as much weight as possible. The winch is connected to this plate. This plate is welded to the bracketry. The bracketry is bolted to the frame. So in my opinion, this is the weak point, quote unquote weak point. These bolts are metric, but they're about a 3/8 size bolt. There's 8 of them in total, 4 on each side. The plate itself is probably a metric again, but it's about between an 1/8 inch and 3/16. It's a pretty good sized plate, and it is welded to the frame. And at first I had some reservations about this, having cleaned it up with a wire brush and really looked at it good with a flashlight and everything. Mine was welded almost all the way around. This bead right here and the same one on the other side of the car was only partially welded. So I went ahead, cleaned it up really good, and laid a nice weld on there. And I'm happy with the condition and the strength that it is now. I read a lot of comments about people pushing these studs out, drilling the holes bigger, using 1/2 inch bolts, putting some reinforcements back there. For my application, I don't think it's necessary. And there we have it. It is on. So I've got 85 feet of 3/8 synthetic line, which I'm not entirely sure that looks like 1/2 inch to me. It barely fits on there. I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit further. I haven't really decided where I'm gonna hook this to there or down below, or I don't know. We'll figure that out once the bumper gets put back on. I've got the splash guards. Originally those would have gone down inside the frame rail and then tucked up underneath and attached, but I just went on the outside and tucked up and attached them. Yes, I cross-threaded a bolt and broke it up later. The original foam insert for the bumper still fits. As you can see here, I've drilled down through this crash bar. This is a 4-inch grade 8 1/2 inch bolt, so I've drilled down, tied that all together there and there. Where the winch bolts to the plate, the head sticks out below, so I drilled a hole in the top of the crash bar so that bolt head would sit down. So basically what I had to do was I put the plate up on the frame, a couple nuts just to hold it in place, and then went ahead, wired up my controller to the winch before I bolted the winch down, and then I bolted the controller down. So that's why I did these angle iron pieces. I made a couple corresponding angle iron brackets that bolted to some original bolt holes in the bottom of this controller for their mounting options. So I've got basically a bracket bolted to the bottom on each side, bolted to a piece of angle iron that is welded to the mount, and then I tapped the bracket on the controller 1/4-20 on each side. Couple bolts, super sturdy, not blocking airway too much to the radiator and the trans cooler. I did a little bit more bending on this so that I can get my controller in there. I'm really happy with how that turned out. So I think now we will get the bumper on. So for the bumper's internal supports to clear this particular winch, maybe other winches will be a little bit different, I had to cut away some of these fins. Technically it fit. I could smash it in there and bolt it all together and it would fit, but it was really pressed up against there. So just trimmed off some of these plastic fins real easily, especially this side, because it made it a little bit more difficult to put this in the spool out position. But yeah, that was easy. You can see I've cut away some of the grill. We'll show more of that once we throw the bumper on. And voila, there we have it. So pretty self-explanatory at this point. Obviously I trimmed out the grill in the middle for the winch fair lead to pop out. Now, I also trimmed out each end. I plan on putting some pods in here, some lights on this tray, but I don't know. I don't really like how just these two sections of grill look. Maybe I'll cut those out and do like what is that, Satoshi style grill insert or something, some black mesh, and just cut around exactly for the aluminum fair lead and the recovery point. I don't know. I'm gonna get a little like a spacer, another fair lead or whatever, to bump this out a little bit further. I think that'll look a lot better. But yeah, for the time being, I have just hooked the end of the winch to the stock recovery tow point, whatever, just to get it out of the way with the hook that came with the Smitty built winch. I was gonna hook it here, and that's part of the reason why I put this bar in here as kind of like a stop, so if I used a D-ring, but there's just not enough space in between. I think I'll probably just leave it down there for the time being, and then when I need to winch someone or something, I'll pull the pin out of that stupid hook, put my soft shackle through the factory loop of the winch rope and go from there. Up top, you can see how everything's tucked away very nicely, if I do say so myself. We've got plug the winch controller right into there. There we go, that focuses a little bit better. Sorry about that. Winch controller mounts right in there, got plenty of room. I might throw the controller in my ammo can there since it is weather tight. We'll see, I don't know. And then before, when I was talking about trimming this structure behind here for this to clear it, it does now. You can rotate that around. I still need to wind the winch up under the weight of the vehicle to pull it tight. The weather was crap when I finished this, so I just kind of pulled it tight by hand as I winched it in. But yeah, I ran the wiring up through the header panel here. I pulled this shroud off. There's a harness that runs up underneath there anyway. Zip tied the positive and negatives together, popped them out over here, and bolted them right to the battery terminals. I'm really happy with all this. Drop a comment down below. What should I do about that whole lower grill situation? What do you guys think about that? Alright, well, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Slightly longer than I would have hoped, but pretty detailed install and some fabrication there. Hope it helped a lot of you guys. Kind of like with the rear locker. Pretty popular thing to do. Doesn't seem to be a whole lot out there kind of from start to finish on how people did it and what they thought was acceptable and things like that. So like I said, pretty easy, not a whole lot of modification. Pretty much the only thing you need to worry about is building some brackets to mount it in your bumper. Any comments, suggestions, post those down below. Positive, constructive stuff, because you guys can make fun of me and my fab work all you want. I don't really care about that, but if you're gonna dog on it, at least add something positive to help someone who might actually be looking through the comments to do it for themselves. Until next week, so you guys voted, or you guys wanted to see the winch this week. We'll look at the tires next week, so I'm happy about that. And it'll be a shorter video. Anyway, before then, follow the links down below. Head on over to Instagram and Facebook and follow me there, because you might have already seen the tires over there. You can email me, hawkeyeskunkworks@gmail.com, for pretty much anything. So until next Sunday, thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane. Thank you for watching. Take care. Goodbye.